this armature is the same armature that I used in the last one. So this is an armature that doesn't have any legs, because I knew that she didn't need to walk. It's just an armature built for her to stand. So the challenge became, how do you make her sit? And the answer to that is you build a chair that has multiple parts. So the back of this whole chair slides right off, and again, it's just cardboard and aluminum foil and Sculpey on top of that, and then it gets painted. And then the legs are just, you know, fake legs that don't do anything because they don't need to do anything for the shot. And then there's just a front piece. And then there's a space for the armature to move around. I never need to make the other side of the chair because I know that will never be seen, or in theory that'll never be seen. And that is her armature right there. I used a, what do they call it? Easy hands? I don't remember. Helping hands, the helping hands with the magnifying glass. This has been an incredibly robust and helpful armature. All of her clothes are just pinned in, because I know you wouldn't really see the pins. So all this comes off. Nothing is glued. I can access everything pretty quickly. Her head, this is a little... She wears a scarf to hide the big wing nut, or whatever you call that. So she has to wear a scarf to hide that. The sleeves usually are pinned in the back, but as I was going, I needed to pull the pins off, so everything easily comes off so that I can access all of it whenever I need to. And these have done pretty well. I'm not a huge fan of these kind because they're a little thin and they don't really, I don't know, they don't take weight terribly well. But the helping hands armature has just been wonderful. And I'm gonna probably go on eBay and buy a whole bunch more of those. But that's a cheap, easy way to take a one armature and adapt it to the next scene without having to change anything. So I just wanted to run through you know, what you do for each shot. So normally the laptop would be right here. This would actually be somewhere closer that I could just get to it easily. So I would look at the screen, it would tell me the next mouth would be M06, so I would pull this off. This is just magnets. And then her face has 3 magnets. If I was going to redo her, I'd take one of the magnets out because it doesn't really need 3. But the magnets have worked incredibly well. I put the original one back. That's really important to do, otherwise you're going to not know what's going on. There's M06, which is ooh. Throw that on, and it just clicks right in. It's wonderful. I mean, I've been doing this hundreds and hundreds of times. For the Halloween message was a little over 800 frames, and it was all dialogue, so you're changing out mouths constantly. You can see her neck is that, and it all just moves around, which is very nice. The ears are on wires, so they just move back and forth, and they can tilt in whatever direction I need to. The eyebrows are putty. Yeah. That's just easy tack for the hanging posters on the wall. This stuff works amazingly well. The eyes, I'm using the Wallace and Gromit technique, as I call it, which is you have a little dot in the center, so I can stick a pin in it, and then I can just move the pin around wherever I want. Really easy to do. In my opinion, it's a lot easier than having a white eye with a printed out iris, which is what I was doing on the Dassos thing, but oh, it's such a pain. The experimental thing that I was doing, this is all experimental, I hadn't done any of this stuff before, honestly. The eyelids will go up and down. They get stuck a lot, they're very difficult to work with. I need to figure out a better way to design it, and I'd love to get a bottom eyelid, because there's so many more expressions you can do with both eyelids. The back of the head comes off, and that has, there we go, that has the threading marked on it, 1032, because I'm going to forget. It has this piece on the back so that I can grab it and tilt her head without touching any of her hair, because it's very, very important to not touch the hair. You can see I just JB welded the ear wires in. There's the 3 magnets that correspond with the inside of your head. And if I ever needed to, I could take your eyes out. I could switch to different eye pupils if I wanted to. There's just a clear piece of plastic on here that acts as a spring to keep the eyes in, and it holds the eyelids against the eyes. So when I build sets, I like to hide things. This is a Star Trek reference right there. I think it's Saurian Brandy. I've got the Book of the Dead, Bats, Great Book of Gummy Magic, the Grail Diary, the Karma Sutra, Spells of Aristotle. I decided to just have a bunch of... Originally I wanted each of these bottles to have a label and it was going to be something funny on each one, but I realized quickly you're never going to see any of this stuff, so it doesn't matter. Candles, Neverending Story, Spells of Madame Mim. I love Sword in the Stone, and Madame Mim is one of the best witches that has ever existed. The Sea Wolf, my favorite Jack London book, A Brief History of Time. Tech War by William Shatner, because I thought that would be funny. Some more bottles, a little bag of gold. I've got Moon Spells, the Enchiridion, which I think is from Adventure Time, the Necronomicon, Wizard's Duels. This is supposed to be a unicorn horn, because I figured she'd have bits and pieces of animals for her spells. Random bone. All of these floor pieces are they're dimensional, and they are just little pieces of clay that I flattened out, rounded down, and painted individually. There's 3 different colors of gray for all of them. I don't know how many of these there are. I just kept making them until I filled the space that I needed to. And speaking of that, you can actually see, where the camera isn't there's a little black line right here on the MDF, and that signifies exactly where the camera is not going to see, and where it is going to see. I was a little bit off. I'm ending it here. So that's where you don't want to keep building, because there's no reason to. You want to give yourself enough room where the camera has a lot of options. It can go all the way over here, and you can still see everything. You can go all the way over here, you can still see everything. So you've got a nice range. If I wanted to lift the camera up, I can do that without breaking the frame, which obviously the frame line is right here, where there's exposed cardboard and pieces of paper and nothing's painted anymore. I've been using the same piece of MDF for every single stop motion thing. You just drill into it, you can scrape it off, you can sand it down. It's wonderful stuff. The walls are just painted styrofoam, or foam core, sorry. Painted foam core. This little detail in the back is just a tree branch that I got from outside, and then I whittled it down so it looked cool. I originally wanted all of the I-beams to be hand-whittled branches, because I thought that was going to be a really nice look. And it would have been a nice look, but it ended up being way too time-consuming. I didn't feel like doing it, and this is all just foam core that you just layer and paint and carve, but not in that order. The ceiling is all foam core. The nice thing about foam core, not only is it cheap, it's easy to paint, but it's fast to cut, and you can also just, you can shove stuff in. Like, if I don't want this here, I just pull this out and I move it, and it goes right there. And you can see in the time lapse of constructing this set that I would position things in different places. These masks are just hot glued T-pins to the back, so I can just shove them in wherever I want. At any elevation, at any point, I can just shove it in. All of these things are just T-pins. And that really makes construction so much easier, faster, super cheap. This doesn't have to cost a lot.